On deck, Trevor Motichka and FF Rain. I hope I pronounced the name right. Mike Thompson and Nap in the hole.
Yeah. All right, here we go. We got Joni teaching first up in the nursery class with her dog Afton. The cattle are getting heavy. If anyone was watching for my run just a moment ago, they definitely will know that to be true, but it was a lot for these open dogs for many runs today to get these cattle through some of the obstacles. And now we've got even younger dogs coming, and we'll have to see if maybe some of their enthusiasm helps, or if some of their lighter experience compared to the open dogs hurts them. Time will tell. Joni's just waiting for her cattle. They're not in the alley yet, so we probably got a minute or so until we kick off. All right, I'm back. We are off to a good start. These cattle are moving real nice for Afton here. Hopefully a sign of good things to come. That one red steer just checking Afton out a little bit, making sure he's got what it takes. And it looks like the answer is yes, he does have what it takes. Pretty smooth start. We have changed the course a little bit for nursery to make it a little bit easier for these younger dogs. They no longer have to push the cattle up the chute backward. In fact, they get to leave the chute alone, I believe, and just focus straight on the sort. Really nice run there from Joni. That's going to be a pretty slick time for her in Afton. And we'll be on to Trevor, motichka, and FF Rain.
That was Joni and Afton with a time of 3 minutes and 4 seconds and a total score of 90 points. Next in, I'm going to butcher this name. Motichka? Is Trevor Motichka and FF Rain. On deck will be Mike Thompson and Nap. In the hole, Dana, Penrod, and Birdu, Hula.
All right, here comes Trevor and Rain. We just had a really nice fast run. And let's see if Trevor can keep the momentum going. Just narrowly missed that one steer. And I'm not quite sure if Trevor's planning to go on yet, or if he'd like to give that another crack. Pick up those 5 points. It seems like he might be continuing on, which we haven't yet seen any nursery runs other than Joni's at this point. So all he knows for sure is that there's going to be some full point runs in this class. So it's a bit of a gamble for him to not worry about picking up those 5 points they left behind at the Y shoot. But on the off chance that there are very few full point runs today, maybe that's enough for a finals round. Nice and smooth around that barrel. go. Trevor and his dog Rain have now got things under control. They need to come counterclockwise around this barrel, though, so they're not in the right direction just yet. Or was that right? Not sure. Things unraveling a little bit here for Trevor and Rain, unfortunately. And it's tough. These cattle have started to get tricky on day 2, and the nursery dogs are getting introduced to them when they've already had 2 rounds of open for some of these cattle. And they're getting smarter, they're getting cleverer. They're choosing their moments of rebellion. And so you got to stay on these cattle. I think that's one thing that I saw just in my open run earlier, that if you give these cattle too much room, they're gonna make you pay. That is going to be time for Trevor and Rain. They kept it clean, they kept it calm, but just a tricky set there, and could not put the pieces back together once it kind of fell apart, which is no mark against dog or handler, because as we've seen, these cattle are not the easiest. Definitely they're not jerks. They're definitely workable, definitely responsive, but they really do know how to take advantage of any slip-up. And for a young dog, that can be a lot to manage. So
That was Trevor Motichka and FF Rain, a full time of 7 minutes and a score of 70 points.
still
Next
a score
up,
of
we
70.
have Mike Thompson and Nap. On deck, we have Dana Penrod and Birdu Hula. What a name. And then we have in the hole Shannon, Fritz, and Remy.
Next up, we now have Mike Thompson and his dog Nap. And hopefully they'll get a nice set here that sets them up to do some magic. And there goes Nap to head off cattle. Keep them from taking off to that exhaust. Nice tight flank there, just what Nap needed to keep that red heifer, or red steer, sorry, it's a steer I think. Well, maybe not. But to keep that one from slipping out the far side of the Y, harder than it looks. I can say that from personal experience. But nice job so far from Mike and Nap. Mike has a real calm handling style that we've seen, both in open and now here in nursery, and it seems to be paying off. Just real nice and calm work from Mike and Nap. Cattle are settled, but they're not getting away with any liberties. A little bit of a blow up there, but nothing too bad. Again, I think to Mike's credit, he's keeping it calm, keeping it collected. These cattle like that, for sure. And the judges agreed that Mike is good, he's clear. He can now give that obstacle another pass. And this red critter here is what I would call a sneaky rebel. It's not overtly causing a ruckus, but it's sneaky with its disobedience. And now he's good to move on to his pen. Nice little job there from Nap, just to correct that one a little bit. We're starting to see a few runs show up with 1 or 2 cattle that are just a little bit more plucky, that maybe just have a little bit less patience now after a day or two of being here in Denver at the stock show. Good work here from Mike. Good teamwork. They're both covering a little bit, and they're gonna get their cattle in there calm as you like. And that will do it. We'll get the confirmation of the score and time in just a moment, but gotta think they're sitting pretty happy.
That was Mike Thompson and Nap with a time of 6:22 and total points equaling 90. Up next is Dana Penrod with Birdu Hula. On deck will be Shannon, Fritz, and Remy. And in the hole is Verona, Butler, and Glenn.
All right, and Dana Penrod and this is a fun name, Birdu Hula apparently is the name of this dog. It's a heck of a fun name. Seen a Kelpie. We saw one of Dana's Kelpies in the open round, and now this looks like a younger one. Nice presence. Definitely loves to work, as you can tell. Nice flanks too. Good cover there, catching that one steer before it could sneak out. Off to a pretty clean, quick start here. Cattle are moving nice for this dog. little flying air bite there that seems to have done the trick. Cattle getting a little bit trotty, but that's not a bad thing considering how many runs have gone today, with the cattle being a little bit heavier, a little bit more sluggish. There's definitely worse things to have than too much momentum right now. Dog's doing a nice job, able to work these cattle from pretty far out. Just needs now maybe a little come by, there it is, just to make sure these cattle go around this barrel. Probably not a little come by there, yep. Now Dana wanted an away there, and Hula wanted a come by, and Hula decided to go with his idea versus Dana's, but that's going to happen with young dogs. There's a reason they are not yet an open. They're still on their path, their training journey. So we're going to see the odd wrong flank or the odd moment of excitement, and that's perfectly expected. and normal. And that's why we make the course a little bit easier for the younger dogs than the open ones, obviously. And still real nice work from this team so far. Just needs now to get these cattle to come clockwise around that far barrel, and then they'll be on to their pen. Having a little bit of trouble here peeling these cattle off the fence. It's tricky because they definitely want to go towards that draw. I definitely feel more comfortable against the fence, and it's a lot to ask a young dog to peel cattle off a fence like that. And hopefully they can find a way to get it done. Dana's hoping that if she stands by the fence over there and sends Hula around, then our cattle might decide to face up the arena and create some kind of opening, but easier said than done. And that black one there saw its opportunity and took it.
That was Dana Penrod and Birdu Hula. Time has expired at the 7-minute mark with a total of 60 points. Coming in next is Shannon, Fritz, and Remy. Following will be Verona, Butler, and Glenn. Then we will move on to Trevor, motichka, and Storm.
All right, that was Dana, Penrod, and Birdu, Hula. Next up, we got Shannon, Fritz, and Remy. Let's see what they can bring. All right, Shannon has sent Remy out. Remy's caught the eye of her cattle. Now she's going to bring Remy in a little bit just to make sure her cattle don't pull that classic maneuver of slipping on the outside of the Y-chute, something that they have done many times today. And there we go. Nice work. Nice and smooth from Shannon and Remy right there. Now they just need to stop their cattle from getting away and hopefully bend them around this barrel. Shannon just needs to be careful about her line there. She's straight over it, but just a warning. There's a little bit of forgiveness at this trial for handlers stepping over their line. And, ooh, Remy's getting into it a little bit with a red steer there, and needs to just kind of talk that one off the ledge a little bit, get it back on program. It's tough because with a real great start, but every chance these cattle get, they look for that draw, and you cannot give them that opening. It's easier said than done. I certainly gave them a few openings earlier today, but hopefully they are now on their way to complete the rest of the course. Got to bring them up along this fence, nice and calm. Keep them from turning right and heading off to that corner. Probably needs a nice little come by. There it is. These cattle seem pretty calm about coming into this corner. You're getting right up next to the commentary area. Got a good look at them. She can keep them this calm and this relaxed. She's in for a nice run here. Alright, they're now on the home stretch. Shannon can now head to her pen. Got her cattle, again, still calm, like we were saying when they came around this barrel just by the camera. There was a little bit of a battle earlier on with that red one, but ever since, just been nice and calm, keeping them together. Looks like they're going to hunt the hole to that pen, potentially. Oh, I spoke too soon. One steer thought there was just enough space between Shannon and the panel to make a break for it. It's going to cost them some time, but hopefully just a momentary setback. sadly, that will be it for Shannon and Remy. But a lot of nice work to be happy with, especially from a young dog in that run. No one would say that dog didn't do a great job, I think.
That was Shannon, Fritz, and Remy with a time of 5:55 and a total of 90 points. Next up is Verona Butler. What did I say? Oh, I'm sorry. I misspoke. The time was 4:55. My apologies. Next is Verona Butler and Glenn. Following will be Trevor, motichka, and Storm. Following will be Jan, Wagner, and Ace.
That actually, I think, was a full point run from Shannon and Remy. So no disclaimers needed for the quality of work there. Pretty solid time, under 5 minutes. Gotta be happy with that. And next up we have Verona Butler and Glenn. Verona's been having good runs all weekend long, or all week long, I guess, or all yesterday and today long. And let's see if her and Glenn can have another clean one here. Glenn is a very stylish, smooth-moving dog. He's right in contact with his stock. Just nice, clean work here. Needs that come by, gets it. Perfect. And he's gonna catch his cattle with a beautiful little maneuver there. Not giving his cattle any time to contemplate running for that exhaust. She does need to put them up the field now here, up the arena. She just wanted to make sure she had daylight to come around this barrel the right direction. Just real good control of this dog. It just is super precise. It's super keen. It responds immediately to commands, and these cattle respect it. When it gets in their eye, look how fast they spin around on the spot. That's a real handy tool for these cattle. This dog's moving fast enough and smooth enough that you can tell these cattle are minding it. Now she needs to... It really is the superpower of this dog, to hit the eye of the cattle and spin on a dime and turn them pretty nicely. The only question is that a trick that's only going to work so many times? Or will it work every time to get them through this course? They're starting to slow a little bit. Hopefully that Glenn and Verona will be able to rebuild some momentum. Looks like they are. They're kind of in the home stretch. It feels like once you get past that handler's barrel on this nursery course, life gets pretty straightforward. Oh, Glenn had a mild moment of disobedience there. Needed it to come by and wanted to take it away. These cattle are starting to question him a little bit. Need to hopefully regain their respect. I think that's exactly what's happening. Just a real nice dog, as you can tell. Well trained. And Verona puts it in the right spot to convince these cattle. They're leaning to the right, but I think Glenn is in just the right spot. It's a lot to ask for a dog to flank out of a draw like that, but with some firm insistence, Verona definitely got it done. Now she's on to her pen. And she's going to come help her dog. Smart move there. Especially with these nursery dogs. Why not give them help if you can? Heck, it was a good strategy for a lot of open handlers as well. The positioning of the opening to that pen is tricky because it's in the direction of the draw, so those cattle have a lot of options to choose other than going into the pen that are right on line with where they'd like to be anyway, which is in that far corner. Nice work. Clearly those cattle were not keen on the idea of going in, and with the right flanks, the right positioning, and some added pressure from herself, Verona was able to get them in. Glenn took a bit of a knock there. And there we go. That'll be a full point run for Verona and Glenn. As you can see, it's tricky. And full points, probably a pretty good time. A lot of handling there. This is not the world's hardest course, but these cattle are tricky. They're tricky. They're not, again, I think I said this 100 times, but they're not jerks. They're not bullies. They're not totally ignorant of where they should go or what a dog is telling them, but they, at every single moment of almost every single run, want to be put places, and if they don't feel like the dog is on them,
That was
in the right
Verona,
way,
Butler, and Glenn
don't listen.
with a time of 5:39 and a total of 90 points. In now is Trevor Motichka. Motichka. Yeah. I struggle. And he's competing with Storm.
All right, here's Trevor Motichka with Storm. Got one lead critter there who's feeling like an independent operator. I ran into a critter just like this in my run. It is tough to deal with. These cattle are tough enough without having one kind of pulling these shenanigans. And it's the type of situation that could take 2-3 minutes to fix. 2-3 minutes where your dog's going to have to work hard to educate that one and get it back on the program. And they're not always 2 or 3 minutes to spare. So it's going to be up to Trevor now to work with his dog to try and change this that middle black one's mind. And now it looks like maybe the red one's got ideas of its own. This is what you would call a tough set, especially this early in the run. It happens to everyone at one point or another. There are some, I would say all the sets are challenging today, in a reasonably fair way, but there are some that are trickier than others, and just the fact that kind of right from the first minute there were some troublemakers in this group, I think is a good signal that this is a trickier set than most. Good work there from Trevor and Storm to bring this set a little bit back on side, but like I said, it takes time to fix that. And these courses, these cattle, they're tough enough without having to kind of deal with one troublesome individual. So even if you get it done, which is a testimony to you and your dog, you're still behind the 8 ball. All right. I think he wanted Storm to do a come-by cover a little bit earlier there. Starting to see the odd wrong flank being taken by the dog. Could be a sign of frustration, but think maybe they're in territory where this is definitely salvageable. Cattle seem to be settling a little bit. They seem to be more keen to stick together. That's probably because Trevor and his dog have done a nice job dealing with some of the early rebellions. Just nice work. Seen a lot of really good dog work today and yesterday. Even the runs that don't have full points, you can definitely say there's still been a lot of good work. There's dog trialing, so it's not always the best dog that wins. It can sometimes the best dog has to deal with a tricky set or some other unforeseen random variable. It's who had the best run on that day that wins the trial. And every dog I think we've seen today has a lot to recommend in terms of their training and their breeding and all that kind of good stuff and their handling. And I don't think there's anyone who would be anything short of impressed with what Storm's been doing here. All right, Trevor and Storm are now working on this final obstacle, the pen and sort. He's trying it a bit differently than we've seen. He's putting his dog into the draw, and he's going to try and work the far side here. And so far, not too bad. But the tricky thing about doing it this way, and I think the reason we haven't seen more people try it, is because there is so much draw that you kind of almost need to have yourself and the dog holding it. As we saw with Verona's run, for example, she and her dog worked together on that side where Trevor's now standing, and even that was still tricky, but they got it done. And I think Trevor has also decided that probably he needs to do the same or something similar. And that will be time for Trevor and Storm. Valiant effort, but just fell a bit short.
That was
That
Trevor,
tricky pen.
Motichka, and Storm with 60 points.
60-point score there. But tomorrow, as Yogi Berra would
Next
say,
up is Jan Wagner with
another
Ace.
day.
Following will be Mike Thompson and Curly. In the hole is Jolie, Vermette, and Luke.
All right, we got Jan Wagner off to a nice start. Caught her cattle early, kept them from getting too far off to that draw. Now she just needs to keep them on the course they're coming on. Might look easy, it's not. Trust me. As you can just see with that red one, Jan is not the first, nor will she be the last to have her cattle nicely lined up and then suddenly at the last minute a surprise. I got burned on that, and I know a lot of folks have as well. And that's cattle dog trialing. Or any trialing, really. Sheepdog trialing is the same. Ace is starting to take a few liberties, though. He's getting excited. And he's upset, that one red critter. So she'll just need to hopefully bring things back a little bit. Jan and her dogs get a lot of work in, so they're more than capable of bringing things back, but it's going to be tricky. She's asking for a big flank there from Ace. He just opted for a bit of a slicier flank, maybe, but that's not unusual. Young dogs get excited. And that's why we have a nursery class, so that they can get some experience and it'll be good to see what they can accomplish. Trying to line things up for another attack on the Y shoot. Keeping an eye on that red one. Got them on the right line here. Just needs to collect both ends. Maybe a bit calmer. It's not an easy group. There are kind of 3 individuals in this group. And Ace kind of needs to be perfect here to convince them all to cooperate. Needs a come by here. Needs a come by. That red one's done that move a few times. And look at that. They don't ask how, they just ask if you get it done. And that was a good flurry of commands to get that sorted out. Now there's points on the board, so that's a good start. Ace is a lot of dog for sure, so I think Jan's trying to make sure he stays a little bit off him. All right. Needs to get behind his cattle while also holding the draw there. So far, looking promising. Once this back red one gets a little bit further, she's going to want an away flank. But she has to wait. There we go. Now, the question will be if she goes for a big away here or a come by. She asked for the away. Ace opted for the come by. And you know what? I think maybe he made the right call. I think he read that right. He just needs to make sure he doesn't leave that red one back there. Good. Boy, that red one finds every opportunity it can to be to be a troublemaker. If there's one move that will mess up the best laid plans, that red one finds it. So Jan needs to clear all of her cattle before she can reattempt this barrel. Barrels can be a tricky obstacle. They might seem simple, but it's sometimes hard in the heat of the moment to keep track of where planes are, where the line is that your cattle need to cross. I've definitely screwed up more than one trial run, not remembering exactly where the plane is. Looks like we're in good shape now, though. Done a good job settling these this trio of troublemakers. Although I say that, and the white one makes a run for it, but that was a situation definitely where a nice tight flank was exactly what you needed. So good job from Ace to turn it before things got out of hand. A wide flank there might have let that one get way too far down towards the draw. All right, I think we're now set up. So now the question is for attempt number 2, is she going to send on the come by? She will. And Ace loves the come by. And he's a heck of a fierce turnback dog, which is pretty nice for a draw this strong. He loves to turn back a rogue cow. And it's come in handy more than once. Judge has confirmed that Jan is good on that obstacle. She can now move on to this near side barrel, but unfortunately her run has been called. Ace was getting a bit too worked up there. There were definitely many very necessary good bites there.
That was Jan and Ace.
But
At the 7-minute mark, we had a total of 30 points.
he got a bit too excited from some of them, and it was starting to
Next
lend
in
itself
will be
to
Mike Thompson
unnecessary
and
bites.
Curly. Following is Jolie, Vermette, and Luke. And in the hole is Bob Wagner and Swoop.
All right, we've got Mike Thompson and Curly. Mike's fun to watch because he's just a super calm, quiet handler. I'd like to take a page out of his book sometimes. Don't always succeed at that, but he's a good handler to watch because more often than not his cattle stay calm. But yeah, we're seeing this start to emerge. One or two individuals getting a little frisky. All right, so we've got pretty clean start so far. Going for a big come by. Might be a bit too wide though to make that Y. And I can attest to the trouble with that. Mike's gonna try and line this up again. Starting to get some good momentum on this run here. It's a tricky afternoon for these nursery dogs. And we saw some of the early signs of this in the open class. Anyone who was watching this trial who maybe thought that these are easy cattle, I hope has by this point been disabused of that notion. Nice work there from Mike. He and his dog had to work, no doubt about it, to get this far into their run. And he's got to be proud with the heart that his dog has shown so far.
Mike and Curly have a time of 5:28 and a total of 90 points. Next up is Jolie Vermette with Luke, followed by Bob Wagner with Swoop, and in the hole is Dana Penrod with SF Fez.
All right, next up is Jolie Vermette and Luke. Jolie is the other Canadian here at the Denver Stock Show Cattle Dog Trial, traveling all the way down from Saskatchewan, Outlook, Saskatchewan. And Jolie puts on cattle trials there with her husband Marcel. They train dogs, they sell dogs, they put on clinics. And fortunately, due to bad weather, Jolie was not able to make it down here yesterday. The roads were closed coming south from Wyoming, but she's here now, and had some nice work from her dogs Jack and Luke in the open round, and now this is Luke's crack at the nursery competition. Just waiting for their cattle to mosey down the alley so that the run can begin. Right. Oh, this is gonna be a tricky set. I think that's a tough set for sure. We've seen a few of these black steers come out well ahead of their compadres and just kind of race to the end of the arena. But hopefully Luke and Jolie are going to be able to solve this. I think they're going to get a rerun. I think that's a good call from the judge to give Jolie and Luke another shot. This is a hard enough trial, especially for nursery dogs, without, having to fix one lone individual animal right from the start. We've seen a few of those types of sets today, unfortunately, but it happens. Any trial, you're going to see that, and it's nice that the judge recognized that you want to give these young dogs a fair shake. So Jolie and Luke will be back a little bit later, and we'll see how they do then. But for now, we're going to move on to Bob Wagner and his dog Swoop, I believe. I think they'll probably give Jolie and Luke a moment, and they might give them just a moment to take a break. Oh no, no, I think they're going to go right back to Jolie and Luke straight away. So here we go. All right, here we go. Round 2. This set's looking a lot better right from the beginning. These 3 red steers are happy to stick together. Luke's coming in a bit hot on them though. That's going to be something they're going to want to keep tabs on, because these cattle don't mind being pushed a little bit, but too much excitement can upset them. And so definitely, I would say a very good set from the start, but just going to need to settle Luke down a little bit here. And these are nursery dogs, so they're excited to be here. These are all dogs with a lot of instinct, a lot of love of moving stock, and got to find that fine line. Just if we can bring things down, and this dog's capable of that. Just needs to get over the excitement. Some nice moves there. Collecting his 3, head back together. Maybe a little bit of an exuberant heel bite there. But again, that's not uncommon. These are nursery dogs. They're just beginning their journeys as the working dogs, and going to a new place like this, it's gonna make them excited for sure. The good news is this is definitely a set that is happy to stick together, and so there's a lot that can be done with a group like that. Got them headed up now in the right direction, putting them in position to hopefully swing them into this Y shoot. Gonna need a big come by there. There we go. Hopefully can just turn them right into this Y. So close, so close. That lead steer definitely was thinking about coming on in. Alright, got them at the mouth there. Just need to stay nice and easy. There we go. Gonna need a little come by there just to seal the deal. Oh, that outside one there. Saw an opportunity to disobey. Sometimes it's frustrating how cattle at a trial will have every opportunity to go through the obstacle and almost sometimes make the less likely choice. Just need to get them set up and then a nice big flank to bend them in. Jolie, I think, is going to take her 2 on the wide. Smart move, I think. Tomorrow is another day. Nursery does not have a finals, but it is cumulative time and points across the 2 rounds. So you want every point you can get. Luke's doing a good job, though, getting to their heads, keeping them out of that draw corner. Now we just need to pull them up in between this barrel and the pen. That's where you point for this obstacle. And they are very close to pointing. Oh, needed a come by there. Jolie asked for it. But and not clear. Oh, okay, I think the judge has retired this run. Just yesterday and today.
Retired.
The judges.
Next in will be Bob Wagner and Swoop, followed by Dana Penrod and SF Fez. In the hole will be Trevor, Motichka, and Shep.
Sorry, as I was saying, just today and yesterday, the judge has a heavy burden on his shoulders. He has to not only, keep an eye on the cattle for their own sake, but being in the middle of a major city, Denver, at a major livestock show with spectators all around. A lot of people passing through, a lot of folks coming to watch a few runs at a time, many of whom maybe have never seen dogs work cattle before or have never been on a working ranch before. He has to keep in mind that there are going to be folks who maybe could raise some trouble if they see cattle being bit or chased too much. And it's not an easy job to be a judge at a cattle trial where you have to think about not only making sure you're not penalizing good, clean bites that are necessary to get the job done, but that you're also not letting anything go that might cause some blowback to the stock show as a whole or the cattle trial in particular. And you're not always going to get it perfect. No one could. But just for anyone who's watching who's maybe wondering why some bites are getting runs retired, that's just the context there. That said, a great start here for Bob and Swoop. Swoop was running in open as well, doing very well, if I remember right. And this run is off to a really, really good start so far. Swoop's doing a really good job also just making sure his cattle stay on task, stay on program. No one would doubt that Swoop's got the tools to keep these cattle moving, and he's doing a nice job taking his lie downs, holding the pressure. Look how close he's able to get to his cattle here. I'm not sure if you can see that on the camera. It's right up next to the film area here, but boy, Swoop is looking sharp. Can tell this dog has had some chances this week so far to run on these cattle. Is that a water bottle in the middle of the arena? I just noticed that for the first time. We don't see the cattle go through there too often, that far away from the barrel, but maybe I might run out there after this run and get that out of there, just so, you know, nobody steps on it and it startles a cow or something. But boy, man, Swoop and Bob putting on a show here with this run. And it's not like these cattle haven't tested Swoop many times, but he has been on their case. Got one here now that's thinking about making a run for it, but Bob can move anywhere now, so he and Swoop can work together. Definitely would say if you're going to have one of your critters go off a bit rogue, better to have it happen right before the pen than have it happen at the start of your run. And we've certainly seen a few runs where things have started off that way. So it's nice to see that Bob and Swoop are already sitting on a pretty comfortable points cushion. And now they just need to seal the deal here for full points. Looks like they got their cattle back on the program. Ooh, a little spinning grab there. Look at that though. Beautiful. Great teamwork. Oh, Bob needs to hurry though. Bob needs to hurry. Boy, and he gets there as fast as a walk run can allow. And look at that. Made it look good. Well done to Bob and Swoop.
That was Bob and Swoop. Their time was a 3:49 with a score of 90. Next in will be Dana Penrod with SF Fez, followed by Trevor motichka with Shep, and in the hole will be Frankie Acosta and Gus.
All right, here we go with Dana Penrod and her dog Fez, SF Fez. Not a Kelpie. We've seen Dana run a Kelpie in Open and a Kelpie earlier in this class, and now she's got a Border Collie. So versatile handler. Working hard here to keep these cattle from avoiding this Y shoot. lot of hard work here from Dana and Fez. Did a nice job there, though. That's what you would call a necessary grip. Because that one was definitely going to try and run past the dog. And also a clean grip because the dog hit him and then let him go when the point was made. And it was a convincing point. The cattle have clung to each other ever since. Got them headed in the right direction now. Good work from Dana to just put Fez enough in the eye of that lead one to keep them headed in the right direction on this barrel. They would very much like to just bail to the right, just like that. And I would say that was another good little nip from Fez. And as you can see, the judge is allowing it because he agrees. We've talked about it already. Handlers have to be a little more careful at this trial than they might at others because of the public nature of this event, but good clean bites are still permitted when necessary. And we've seen a few of those in this run. Good handling from Dana and nice work from Fez. Now we might be in dangerous territory, though. Fortunately, the judge has seen a lot of good, clean, necessary bites from this dog in this run. And so Dana and Fez have some goodwill built up there, but need to be careful, make sure that these cattle leaning on him, trying to get back to that draw, don't frustrate the dog too much. But everyone who's run today, who's encountered a tricky set or heavy cattle leaning on the dogs, can attest to it's not easy. Not easy to keep them headed up the arena away from where they'd like to be.
Thank you, Dana Penrod and SF Fez. Your total score was 60 points in the 7 minutes. Next is Trevor Motichka with Shep. He will be followed by Frankie Acosta and Gus. And in the hole is Peter Danko III and Gemma.
So that was a timeout there from Dana and Fez, but a lot of good work, and certainly better than a 0. The judge, I think, fairly called that the grips that did occur were needed and not overdone in any way. But the good news is, because of that, Dana will walk away with some points with Fez from round 1 instead of 0. And while I'm sure she would be happy with a full point run, these cattle are getting tough. Anyway, we're on now to, I believe, Trevor Motichka and Shep. And he's going to have to really manage this lead animal, who had every opportunity just there to go through the Y and decided not to. Nicely done from this team there. Took some doing, but whereas the Y wasn't super challenging, I think, earlier in the day, as it has worn on and the cattle have gotten heavier, we're starting to see it become more and more challenging. We're also starting to see more groups that are less inclined to travel around together. Patience, I think, is running out with some of the stock, which, again, not at all unusual at a cattle dog trial. They usually get harder as they go on. Just the cattle start to get really clever and figure out, A, that they're involved in something they don't think is a lot of fun, and B, that, oh, look at this. We've got a helper. Another dog is coming to help, and help quite enthusiastically. This is known to happen at dog trials, so don't be alarmed. They will likely give Shep and Trevor a rerun, and to be honest, it might be something that Trevor is keen for. He had a little bit of time lost early in his run, so a rerun's not the worst thing in the world. But yep, as you no doubt can guess, these border collies love to work, and it's not uncommon at a trial that one gets loose and decides to take matters into its own hands. All right, we're getting back to it. Don't worry. Trevor is going to go right into a rerun, and like I said, he's probably not too too upset to get one. It's not that his run was going badly, but now he gets another shot, and maybe it'll be even smoother this time. He's got a pretty fast-moving group, though, and he needs to be careful. He's not going to get too many grips allowed. Proven to be tricky, though, this obstacle. He's had them lined up a few times and then asked for that big away flank to bend them in, but each time I think he's gotten a bit too wide of a flank from Shep. And these cattle take advantage of wide flanks, and I say that from personal experience. Having had to spend a good chunk of my run today educating at least one of my cattle, and struggling a bit with a few wider than desired flanks in the process. But this is looking positive. If he can just get Shep in the right spot. It's tough though, because his cattle are really resisting going into the mouth of that Y. Multiple times he's given them a lot of good reason to do exactly what he wants, and they've still opted not to. Here we go. Needs a big away here. Or maybe he doesn't need it at all, actually. Definitely a nice feeling when you've had to work hard to get an obstacle and then you finally do. But it also can worry you a bit, because you know you've spent more time just getting started than you would have liked. But good job there, pulling Shep back a little bit off of his cattle. Now they're going to do their classic bail for the exit, and he's going to try and put Shep in a position. Ooh, that was not necessarily a bite that was needed, but he's getting some leeway from the judge. That's good. Again, it's not an easy job to be a judge at this trial. You're not going to please everyone. You have to walk a fine line, thinking about the public, but also trying to make sure you're not penalizing good, clean grips. And it's not a job I would want, so I'm glad I don't have it. Good line here from Shep and Trevor. One thing this trial and these cattle have definitely tested on dogs is the ability to hold sideways pressure while driving forward. Something you get tested a lot on at big sheep trials. But you're not always tested on it at cattle trials in an arena. And so it's been neat to see a trial with cattle in an arena that really has asked big questions of dogs and handlers about holding sideways pressure and driving despite it. We're seeing some real good work from a lot of dogs here, even the ones who don't have full points today. No one could say they haven't seen a lot of hard work, a lot of savvy handling. And Trevor and Shep are now around that barrel and onto their pen and sort, which itself is not an easy obstacle. There's lots of little tricky parts to this course. No question about it. And this is as tricky as any of them. Time is going to be getting scarce here. But he's got them nicely lined up. He's got them in the pen. Should have enough time to complete this sort. Doesn't take long if things go well. Good work there from Trevor. Using his body, putting it all on the line to get that sort over and done with, and he'll do it. And that'll be full points for, I believe, full points for him and Shep. And next up, we're going to have Frankie Acosta, I believe, and Gus. But we have had some scratches.
That
today,
was
so
Trevor, motichka, and Shep. Completed in 6 minutes and 11 seconds with a total of 90 points. Coming in next will be Frankie Acosta and Gus, followed by Peter Danko III and Gemma. Mike Thompson with Pat will be in the hole.
All right, here comes Frankie Acosta and Gus. Let's see what they got for us. Their cattle are making their way up the alley. So far, they're looking a little slow moving. Maybe they'll speed up when they get out here. Who knows? Looking like a reasonable set so far. They are all together. These cattle seem to be interested in staying as a unit. There's a lot you can do with that. Just needs to, like so many runs before him, guard that inside. Ooh, bit too much there from Gus. A bit of a gratuitous bite there. Needed a flank. Instead, Gus went for a shot on the side. He's getting some leeway from the judge. That's nice. You know, you don't want to see a young dog called off for one mistake, but he's in dangerous territory here. And I think that's going to be the end of this run. And that will be a DQ there for Gus. Caused a bit of a commotion there, but the cattle are not worse for wear. They're tough, and so are the dogs. Disappointing end for this run for Frankie and his dog, but that is part of what it takes sometimes to train these dogs. They have to be bred and trained to deal with tough livestock. And it takes a bit of work to teach the young ones how to work their cattle calmly.
In the ring next will be Peter Danko III with Gemma. Following will be Mike Thompson and Pat. And our final run will be Joni teaching with Holly.
All right, next up we have Peter Danko and Gemma. Peter and Gemma working hard here. This is a tricky obstacle. Having to bend them around the barrel towards the draw is not the easiest thing in the world. This run stalled out a little bit. For those of you watching, ran to the bathroom, so that was the reason for the delay or the silence. But back now for the last few runs. And unfortunately for Peter and Gemma, just running into some intractable cattle here. It happens, but you've probably also noticed Judge is letting a little bit more go. He's cognizant, I think, that these cattle are getting tougher and tougher as the day goes on. As it gets colder, and as a result, a little bit more is sometimes needed. Late in the day like this, late in the trial like this, when it's colder like this. But it doesn't look likely that Gemma and Peter are going to get their points here. Coming closer to this heater.
That was Peter Danko III and Gemma. They had a total of 55 points. Retired. Next up is Mike Thompson and Pat. Followed by our final run of the day, Joni Teachin and Holly.
All right, here comes Mike Thompson and his dog Pat. Said it before, I said it again. He is a real calm handler. He finds a way to keep quiet and keep cool when his dogs are running, and I think it has an impact on why his runs seem to never really get out of control, at least not this week anyway. But boy, this Y has been getting harder and harder as the day has gone on. And the cattle's patience seems to be really running thin as the temperature has dropped. But Mike is cool as a cucumber. All right, lining things up for another crack at this Y. I think he's going to try maybe putting them in. Well, almost went backwards through the obstacle, which is sometimes a viable strategy if you've got a tough set. But this is looking good. Needs the away though, needs the away. Oh, a bit too wide. But it's not clear to me how much tighter that dog could have been. The cattle just really didn't want to go in there. And that has been the theme, no doubt about it, for the last few hours of today. The Y has emerged as a new, really tough obstacle. time ticking away here for Mike and Pat, but I wouldn't say it's by any fault of the dog or the handling. It's just, this is how hard it is right now. We're late in the day. It's cold. Cattle's patience are thin, and it's getting real challenging, especially for these young dogs. So what you're kind of looking for in a situation like this is the dog giving it an honest effort? Is the dog showing signs that it will be or is a great working dog? And I think you definitely would say Pat is checking all those boxes. You know, just young dogs are not always going to have perfect runs. But look at that. Found a way to get off his stock just enough to finally peel them through that first obstacle, and that's something to build on maybe. And that will be time for this team, Mike and Pat. A lot of good work there, for sure. And now on to our final run of the day, which is Joni teaching and her dog
That was
Holly.
Mike Thompson and Pat with a time of 7 minutes. They accumulated 60 points. Our last run is Joni teaching and Holly.
This run's going really nice here for Joni and Holly. Holly, of course, ran an open, so she's feeling pretty confident, I bet, in these cattle. Holly had a real nice run, I think, in the open class as well, if I'm not mistaken. Can't quite remember, but this run certainly is going smoothly. Not a bad place to be at the end of the day. Joni's going to send the away to cover these cattle now that she's able to move anywhere she wants. Probably a good strategy just to keep them from taking off to the draw there. But they nearly slipped by all the same. She's given herself lots of time, though, to pull this off. Lots of time to work with on this final obstacle, which is her pen and her sort. But like with so much today, nothing is free. That said, got them headed in the right direction. Holly's got those nice quick flanks. And I think these cattle are just going to go right in now. And now all Joni needs to do is sort two out the alley there and one out the way they came in. And look at that. She's got two volunteers almost right away. Just needs to make sure that the third doesn't sneak out. Oh, keep your arms out of that obstacle there, Joni. Don't want to get DQ'd now. There we go. That's a full point run. Great score, good time, and that'll close us out for today. Thank you to everyone who watched. Tomorrow will be round 2 of Nursery as well as the Open Finals. So the top 20 dogs from the 2 rounds of Open we've seen will get to come back and compete for all the marbles. But until then, thanks for watching, and we'll see you then.
That was Joni and Holly. In a time of 3:37 and a total score of 90 points, they were our last run for the Nursery run. Thank you guys for coming out.